81일차 영어 시동 연습 시작해 보겠습니다. 어제와 마찬가지로 How to talk like a native speaker 라는 영상을 가지고 해보겠습니다. 저는 지금 이 영상을 나중에 이제 제가 영어를 잘하게 되면 저도 이 사람처럼 어떻게 원어민처럼 말할 수 있게 되었는지를 어, 설명을 하려고 그런 것들을 상상하면서 희망찬 미래를 상상하면서 재밌게 보고 있습니다. 네, 그럼 한번 시작해 보겠습니다.
편하게 살고 싶지 않았어요. 3년간 총 3가지를 바꿨더라고요. 제가 살고 있는
Now, when I was a baby, I didn't really understand that what my parents were speaking to me. In Moscow.
My story starts in
I
Moscow.
was 15 years
I
old.
was 15 years old.
My best friend and
My
I, we
first
were part of
friend
a
and
group
I,
of
we were
Westerners
part of a
visiting
group
the
of
Soviet
Westerners visiting the Soviet Union.
Union. This was
This
in
was
1987,
in
a few years
1987,
before the fall
a few years before the fall
of the communist
of the
regime.
communist regime.
An
An official tour guide
was assigned to us,
who
and
was
the
assigned
tour
to
would
us,
start in
and
the
the tour
morning,
would start in
and we
the
were checked
morning.
into our hotel rooms
We
for
were
the
checked
night.
into our hotel rooms for the
My
night.
friend said to
My
me,
friend said to me,
let's
go
outside
and
and
look at
the
the
city.
city.
I thought it was
I
a
thought
great
it was a
idea.
great
Dumb
idea,
idea. So,
So
we grabbed our
we
coats and we
grabbed our
snuck out
clothes,
past security
snuck out
and
past
into the
security
street.
and into the street.
We found the
We
entrance
found
to
the
the
entrance
metro.
to the metro.
The
The
Moscow
Moscow
underground transportation system is the
ground
deepest
the
one in the
deepest
world.
one
The ride
in
down
the
the
world.
escalator took a
The
full
ride down
minute.
the escalator took a full minute.
Once we were down
Once we
there,
were
my
down
friend
there,
had a right to an
my
open
friend had
train,
a
and
right
I
to an
pulled
open
him back.
train,
I said, wait,
and I put
let's
him back
write
and
down the
said,
name of the station
wait,
so we can find our way back.
let's down the name of the station so we can find our way back.
So I had a notepad, and I took a notepad, and I wrote down
So I had a notepad and I took a notepad.
the letters
I
of the
wrote
station.
down the letters of the
We
station.
hopped on the train
I
and
hopped on
went
the
some
train and
train hopping.
went on train
That was
hopping.
fun because,
It was fun
well,
because,
actually it was
well,
weird.
actually
There
it
were
was
a lot of
weird.
people. They
There were a
probably
lot
all
of
coming home
people.
from work,
They probably are coming from work.
and they were all dressed in
They
brown
all
and
dressed
gray
in
cloths.
brown and black
Very, very
clothes,
different from what we were
and
used
it
to at
looked
home.
very different
But
from
the
what we're used
stations
to
were
at home.
lovely. There were
But the
stations
stations were lovely. There were stations with statues,
with paintings on the wall,
with the paintings on the wall,
glass
and glass
displays. It was really
displays.
like museums.
It was really like
We
museums.
would never have expected that.
We
Everything was
would never
perfectly
expect
clean.
that. Everything was perfectly clean. Well,
What was weird
what
though
was weird though is that the people, nobody
nobody
seemed to
Everyone
speak.
seemed to be
Everyone
looking
seemed to be
at us.
looking at us, and it kind of
So
weirded
after
us
about
out.
20, 30 minutes, we have to speak, and everyone seemed to be looking at us, and it kind of
How
weirded
weird
us
it
out.
was.
So after about 20, 30 minutes,
So after about 20,
we had
30
enough,
minutes,
and
we
we
had
wanted to go home.
enough and
I
we
showed my
wanted
note
to go home.
to
I showed my
someone,
note
they
to
directed me
someone,
over
and
there,
they directed me over there.
I
And
showed my
then
note to
over there,
another
I
person,
showed
and they
my
directed us
note
to the
to
other
another
way.
person. They
And
directed
then a
us
third person
another
directed
way.
us sideways.
Then a third
That was a little
person directed me,
Oh.
and then a third person directed me sideways. There's a little confusing.
And I saw it over
Oh,
the stairs.
then I saw it over the stairs.
Fine.
The sign.
Turned out I had
Turned out
written
I
down
had
the
written
Russian
down
word
the
for
Russian
exit.
word for exit.
So we
So
headed
we headed
upstairs, and
We headed upstairs and we
found a taxi.
found a
That was
taxi.
great. And
That
told the
was
driver,
good. I
into
told the
this
driver,
hotel, and
enter this hotel.
was willing to take us. And
He
I
was willing
remember
to take
sitting
us,
next to the
and
driver,
he was willing to us, and I remember sitting next to the driver and
handing him 50
and
rubles.
handing him 50
He looked at
rubles,
me and he said,
and he looked at me and said, "Нет, dollar." $50. That was like, I don't know, 20
that
times
amount
or
or something.
20 times or
That was not enough
20 times the amount or something.
for us, so we had to. That was like, I don't know, 20
20
times that amount or
the
something.
amount or something.
That was not an
There
option
was
for
not
us.
an
So
op-
we had to get out of
There was not an option for us. We had to get out of the taxi.
the taxi, and he drove
And
away.
he drove away.
Leaving us standing there.
He drove away, leaving us standing there.
It was a cold night, and
It was cold night.
everything was strange
everything
for us,
was-
and we were teenagers, and
Everything was strange for us, and we were teenagers.
We were pretty nervous, didn't
And
know
we
what
were
to
pretty
do.
nervous,
Well,
didn't know
we
what to
started
do.
walking.
We
Walked
started walking.
to the
I
end of the
walked
block.
to the end of the
We
block,
turned the corner,
turned the corner,
and 200
and
yards in
200
front of
yards
us,
in
the
front of
Interest
us,
Hotel.
the Interest Hotel.
Well,
Well,
this
this
experience affected me in
experience
two
affected me
ways.
in two ways.
The first is
The
that
first is that
anytime after this trip
anytime
that I
after
hear,
this
would
trip
hear anyone speak
that I
Russian,
hear
I
we
would
hear
just cringe.
anyone speak Russian, I was just
And the
cringe.
second one is that
The second one
it
is
taught
that
me the importance of
it taught me
understanding the local language when
it taught me the importance of understanding the local language. Language when you're traveling,
you're traveling. And it actually led to me learning another four languages fluently over the following years.
and actually led to me learning another four languages fluently.
Actually led to me learning another four languages
fluently
fluently
over the following
years.
years.
Now, before I go on, I'd like to know in the
Now, before I go on, I'd like to
audience,
in the
can we have a
audience.
little bit of light maybe in the audience?
Can you have a little bit of light, maybe in the audience?
Just like to know who's by
I
show of
just
hands,
I just like to know who's by show of hands
who is not a native English speaker.
who's not a native English speaker.
99%.
It must be 99%. It must be 99%.
Anyone who doesn't
Anyone who
speak
doesn't
English,
speak
stand up.
English, stand up. Anyone who doesn't speak English, stand up.
Alright, so I can
Alright.
assume all of you have,
Alright, I can assume all of you have,
gone through the
going
process
through
of
the
learning a
process of
language.
learning
Anybody
languages.
who speaks three or more
And
languages?
anybody who speaks three or more languages,
Wow,
Wow.
that's maybe
Yes.
70%.
maybe 70%.
Four or more languages,
Four
anyone?
more languages.
That's still quite a bit.
Oh,
Anyone
that's
speak
quite
five
a
or
bit.
more languages?
Anyone speak
Wow, come see
five
me
or more
during the break.
languages? Come see me during the break.
Alright, well, to me, learning a language is
To me, learning of languages,
for me, it's like
for
a,
me,
it's
it's
like
like a
deck
deck
of
of playing
lying
cards,
face down
lying
on the
face
table.
down on the table.
As you start learning,
As you start learning
understanding,
and understanding,
the cards start
the
opening
cards
up for you.
start opening up for you.
Now, there's
Now,
no
there's
standard
just no
way of
standard
classifying
way
this,
of
but as you
classifying
learn,
this.
you reach certain
As
milestones.
you learn, you reach certain milestones,
And the first one would be when
and
about 25%
and first one would be
of the cards are turned up. You
when
reach
about 20%, when about 25% of the cards are turned up.
like a basic level.
You
At this
reach like a basic level.
level, you
At
have
this level,
a
you
base
have
vocabulary,
base
some
vocabulary,
grammar, and
some
you're able to
grammar. You have to
have maybe
you're
very
able
simple
to
conversations
have
and
maybe
communicate a little bit.
very simple conversations and
And
communicate a little
Your
bit.
study goes on
Your
you
study
reach
goes
this
on
magical
until you
point of
reach this
fluency,
magical
what we
point
call
of
being
fluency.
fluent in a language. Until
You
you
reach
reach this
the
magical
magical
point of fluency,
fluency.
what we call being fluent in a
What
language.
we call
And
being
what does this
fluent in
mean?
a
Being
language.
fluent
What
in a
does this mean?
language, it means that you've
Being
turned
fluent
up
in a
more than
language.
50%. Now, what does this
I
mean?
mean,
Being fluent in a
fluent in
language,
it
it
means
means that
that
you've
you
turned up more than
turned up
50% of the
more than
cards in the deck.
50%, more than 50% of the cards in
That
the
is
deck.
the point where
And
you
that
have
is a point
where
where
the
you
language
have
becomes
where
part of
the
your
language
subconscious.
becomes part
So
of
that
your
even if you
subconscious.
don't use it, where the language
Language
becomes
becomes
part of your
part of your
subconscious.
subconscious.
So that even if you don't use it anymore for 10 years or
So that
longer,
even if you
your
so
subconscious. So
that even if you don't use it anymore for
10 years or
10
longer,
years or longer,
you will not forget it.
you will not
You can
forget
go
it.
get back into it
You
within very,
you
very
can
short 10 years or longer, you will not forget it.
you will not
You can go get back into it
you can get
within a
back
very,
into
very
it
short time.
within a very very short time.
So
So this is
a level where
a level
you're
where
comfortable thinking
you're
in a language
comfortable thinking in a language and
comfortable communicating.
communicating in a language.
Now, some people go on and
And now some people
reach
go
like a
on,
mastery level. By that time,
you
you
reach
know
like
classic.
a
Now,
mastery
some
level.
people go on and reach
Reach
like a
like a
mastery
mastery
level. By
level.
that time, you know classic
By the
literature.
time
People go on and reach like a
mastery
mastery level. By
at
that
the
time,
time
you know classic
with classical
literature
literature in the other language.
in-depth knowledge of mastery level. By that time, you know classic literature in the other language and have maybe an in-depth knowledge of
And have
specialized
maybe
fields.
in-depth
That's often
knowledge
the
in
point in language and have
and maybe
in-depth knowledge of
know
specialized. By that time, you know classic literature in the other language
is
have
and maybe
in-depth
in-depth
knowledge
knowledge
of specialized
of
fields.
specialized
That's
fields.
often the point taken in
That's
academia.
often the point taken in
For
academia.
me, when
For
I
me,
learned my first
when I
foreign
learned first foreign language,
I had a head start
I had a head start
because
because
well, I was born to
I
a
was born to
German-speaking
German
mother
speaking mother
and an American father.
an American father.
Now, when I was a
Now,
baby, I didn't American father.
now,
Now, when I was a
when
baby,
I
I
was a
didn't really
baby,
understand
I
that what
didn't
my
really
parents were speaking.
understand.
Now, when I was a
Baby,
baby, I didn't really
understand
understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate.
What my
Now, when I was a
parents
baby, I didn't really
understand.
understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
What my parents speaking me. What my parents speaking me into other languages.
I was a baby, I didn't really understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
Speaking me to in into
Really understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate.
and what my parents were speaking to me speaking to me two separate languages. The what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
Now, when I was a baby, I didn't really understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
Speaking to me were two separate languages.
Now, when I was a
Baby,
baby,
I
I didn't
didn't
really understand that
understand
what my parents were speaking to me were
the
two
what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
separate. Now, when I was a baby, I didn't really understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
Were speaking to me were two. What my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages.
As a baby, I didn't really understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages. Understand that what my parents were speaking to me were two separate languages. But by the time I was 2 years old, I had figured it all out.
But by the time I was 2 years old, I had figured it out. Figured it all out.
Two separate languages.
Yes.
But by the time I was 2 years old, I had figured it
But by the time I was 2 years old,
all out.
I figured it all out.
Languages. But by the time I was 2 years old, I had figured it all out.
I figured it all out.
Women
Women
speak only German.
speak
Men
only German.
only speak English.
Men only speak English.
Imagine the fun my parents had
Imagine that my parents had
when they introduced me to couples.
when they introduced me to couples.
Well,
Well,
being a bilingual
being a
was
bilingual
actually pretty helpful.
was actually
Well, being a bilingual was actually pretty helpful in
my
learning my first language. Definitely helped.
Definitely helped. It
If
definitely
you're,
helped. If you're,
but it also gave me something else.
but
It gave me two
but it
identities.
also gave me something
And
else.
But it also gave me something else.
But it also
It
gave me
gave
something.
me two
It gave me
identities and the ability
two
to switch
entities
between
and
them.
ability
It gave me two identities
and
and the ability to switch between them.
ability to switch between
When
them.
you're a native speaker of more than one, and the ability to switch between them. When you're a native
When
speaker
you're a
of
native
more than one
speaker,
language,
more than one
then
languages, then your your
personality,
personality
your
and humor,
your value system, they change
value
as you switch
system
languages.
change.
Your humor, when you're a native speaker of more than one language,
When you're a native speaker of more than
when you're a native speaker of more than one language,
one language, when you're a native speaker of more than one languages,
then
then your
personality,
your humor,
your value system, they change
your value
as you
system,
switch languages.
they changes.
Personality, your humor, your value system, they change as you switch languages.
They changes. This was kind of huge advantages.
I mean, it's some studies have shown like an increased.
I mean, some studies show that increased
problem-solving ability,
problem solving
or
ability,
even a higher resistance to Alzheimer's disease.
and even high resistance to Alzheimer's diseases.
But what I'm most interested in
But
is
I
that it's actually
but I'm interested in
given me resistance to Alzheimer's disease. But what I'm most interested in is that it's actually given me resistance to Alzheimer's disease. But what I'm most interested in is that it's actually given me
is that but I but I'm but what I'm interested but what I'm interested is the
resistance to Alzheimer's disease.
but
What I'm most interested in
but
is
I'm
that
interested
it's actually given me
is
a lot of social
is that it actually give me
disease. But what I'm most interested in is that it's actually given me
is that it actually giving me
a lot of social
a
benefits.
lot of social
When
benefits.
you're a native speaker
When you are a native speaker,
and then you
then-
feel at home among native speakers,
then you feel home you feel the home
native speaker, and then you feel at home among native speakers,
you feel the home among the native speakers
and then you feel at home among native speakers.
you feel at home among the native speakers
In a culture,
among
and
the
also
live culture
native you feel at home among native speakers in a culture, and also
in a culture
native speakers accept you as one of theirs.
and also native speakers accept you among their
Social benefits. When you're a native speaker,
when you are a native speaker
and then you feel at home among native speakers,
then you feel at home among native speaker home among native speakers you and then you feel at home among the and then you feel at home among native speaker home among native speaker home among native speaker then you feel at home among native speakers you feel at home among native speakers or
in a culture,
in a culture
and also native speakers accept you
and also native speakers accept you
as one of theirs.
as one of theirs as one of theirs.
Now, is this only relevant to native speakers?
Now is this all relevant?
Now, is this only relevant to native speakers?
Now is this only relevant to native speakers?
And that's the big question.
That's the big question.
But wouldn't it be cool if a
But
person
wouldn't it be cool as
learning a foreign language
learning a foreign language can actually
develop
develop
another identity,
another
and
identity,
actually enjoy the
actually
social benefits
enjoy the
of a
social
native speaker,
benefits like
actually enjoy the social benefits of a native speaker
of native speakers
that go beyond
that go
communication
beyond
skills.
that go beyond communication skills.
The foreign language could actually develop if and that's the big question.
That's the big question.
But wouldn't it be cool if
But wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be? That's the big question.
wouldn't it be cool
But
if
wouldn't it wouldn't it wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it? But wouldn't it be cool?
a person learn? And that's the big question. But wouldn't it be cool if a person learning
If a person learning
a foreign language
a
could
foreign language could
actually
if a person learning a foreign language but wouldn't it be cool if a person learning a foreign language
develop
could
another
actually
identity
develop another identity
and
and
actually enjoy the social benefits
actually enjoy the social benefits
of a native speaker
of a native speaker
that go beyond
that go
communication
beyond
skills.
communication skills.
Well, that's
Well, that's what happened to me.
to do that.
I was able to do
I want
that.
to show you from my experience.
And I want to show you from my experience. 네, 이제 이 부분 다시. What
I
happened
was
to
able
me?
to do that.
I was able to
I
do
want to
that.
show you from my experience what happened to me. I was able to do that, and I I want to show you from my experience
and I wanted to show you my experience,
how I think this can be achieved.
how I can, how I think, how I can,
And I want to show you from my experience how I think this can be achieved.
I think that is, how I think that is achieved. I think that was achieved.
And I want to show you from my experience
And wanna show you. I wanna show you from my experience. Show you from my experience. I wanna show you from my experience how I think how I think this can be achieved. How I think this can be achieved. How I think this can be achieved. And I want to show you from my experience how I think this can be achieved.
can be achieved. That
How I think this how I think this can be achieved. How I think this can be achieved.
I want to. Well, that's what happened to me.
That's what happened to me. I was able to do that.
On communication skills.
Communication skills.
Well, that's what happened to me.
Well, that's what happened to me. What happened to me? What happened to me?
I was able to do that.
I was able to do that. I was able to do that. I was able to do that. I was able to do that.
And I want to show you from my experience
And I want to show. I want to. And I want. And I want to. And I want to show you.
that's what happened to me.
That's
I was
what-
able to do that, and I want to show you from my experience
And I will. And I want to show you. And I want to show you. Want to show you. And I want to show you from my experience.
that's what happened to me.
What happened to
I
me
was able to do
was
that.
I was
and
able to do
I
that.
want to show you from my experience
I want to show you. I want to show you from my experience
how I think this can be achieved.
how I think this can be achieved. How I think this. How I think this can be achieved.
So if we say this green area here is the level of the
So if we say this green area here,
native speaker, so if we say this green area here is the level of the native
so if we say this green area here is the level of the native speaker. 네, 이 부분 한번 쭉 그냥 한번 쭉 한번 자막 보고 따라해 보겠습니다.
speaker,
Speaker.
the first thing to note
The
is
first
that
thing to
on
note
your way
is that
to reaching fluency, the
on your way to reach
speaker, the first thing to note is that on your way to reaching fluency,
the first thing to note is that on your way to reaching fluency,
there's not really any shortcut.
there is not really any shortcut.
There are some methods that you can use, such as the Pareto principle,
There are some methods that you can use, such as the Pareto principle,
where you've identified a 20% of
where you identify the 20%,
the most effective material to study,
where you identify 20% of the most effective materials to study.
There are some apps like for time-spaced learning that
There are some apps like stuff for time-spaced learning
increase vocabulary retention.
that increase vocabulary retention.
They save a little time, but
They save a little time,
and there's no way around
but in the end, there's no way around.
increase vocabulary retention. They save a little time, but in
They save a little time, but
the end, there's no way around
in the end, there's no way around
working with the material,
working with the material
practicing it
practicing
until you
it.
reach the fluency level.
until you reach the fluency level.
Is that
But the second is the second thing is that
until you reach the fluency level. But the second thing to note is that
but the second thing to note but the second thing to note
going from fluency
is
to
that going from fluency
mastery
to
is a
mastery
much slower process, and
is a much slower process,
it requires proportionally more
and it requires proportionally more
effort.
effort.
And that's why most people
That's why most people
they just stop at fluency.
they just stop at fluency.
know how to speak English.
Oh, they know how to speak English. They know how to speak English
Good enough.
good enough,
And they don't even attempt to
and they don't even attempt to
venture on. And I
venture
can
on,
understand it.
and I can understand it.
But the good news is
But the good news is
to get the benefits of
to get the benefits
a native speaker at a
of a
native
native speaker
speaker level,
at a native speaker level.
you don't have to reach
You don't have to
go through mastery in the
you
academic
don't have to go through
sense. In fact,
mastery in the academic sense.
you can skip this step altogether.
In fact,
Go through mastery in the academic sense.
you don't have to go through mastery in the academic sense. You don't have to go through mastery in the academic sense.
In fact, you can skip this step altogether.
In fact, you can skip this step altogether. In fact, you can skip this step altogether.
If you think about it,
So if you think about it,
many native speakers who do not have an in-depth knowledge of
there are many native speakers do not have an in-depth knowledge
specialized fields or sophisticated
of specialized fields or sophisticated vocabulary.
vocabulary. So that's not really what is required.
So that's not really what is required. So that's not really what is required.
So how do you do it? What is required?
So how do you do it? What is required?
Well,
Well,
I want to give you 3 areas to focus on.
I want to give you 3 areas to focus on. I want to give you 3 areas to focus on. I want to give you 3 areas to focus on
When you're learning and interacting with native speakers.
when you're learning and interacting with native speakers. When you're learning and interacting with native speakers. When you're learning and interacting with native speakers. When you're learning and interacting with native speakers.
The first is work
The first is work.
on eliminating your accent.
The first is work on eliminating your accent.
I'm aware I said eliminating.
I'm aware I said eliminating. I'm aware I said eliminating.
It should be at least minimizing
It should be at least minimizing it.
it.
Minimizing it.
This is,
This
in my
is
opinion, the most overlooked
this is in my opinion the overlooked aspect. Overlooked aspect. This is in my opinion the most overlooked
aspect of language learning today.
aspect of language learning today. Aspect of language learning today.
But it's also the most important one
But it's also the most important one. But it's also the most important one
to reach what I call native speaker level or
to reach what I call a native speaker level
speaker-like level.
or a speaker-like level.
If you communicate without an accent or almost
If you communicate without an accent, if you communicate without an accent,
without an accent, this
or almost without an accent,
changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Without an accent or almost without an accent,
Accent.
this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
This changes how natives behave towards.
Okay, without an accent or almost without an
without an
accent,
accent.
this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Behave towards you unconsciously. Behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives. This changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Without an accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
This changes
An accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives. This changes how natives behaves you. Beha- this changes how natives. This changes how natives. This changes how natives behaves towards you. Behave towards you. Towards you. Towards you.
Almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Behave towards you. Towards
An accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
towards you. Towards you. This changes how natives how natives behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously. Behave towards you. Behave towards you. Behave towards you. Behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives
Without an accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
How natives. This changes how natives towards you. Behave towards you. Behave. This changes how natives behave. Natives behaves.
Or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Behave.
Without an accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Behave towards you. Behave towards you unconsciously. Natives behave towards you. Natives behave towards you. Behave towards you.
Without an accent or almost without an accent, this changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
Behaving. This changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
And it also gives you
Behave. And it also gives you
without an accent,
Without-
this changes
this
how natives behave towards you
you.
unconsciously.
It changes how natives behave towards you. Behave towards you unconsciously. This changes how natives behave towards you unconsciously.
And it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image. An ability to adapt to a new self-image.
And it also gives you an and it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image. And it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image. And it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image.
Consciously. And it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image.
To adapt to a self-image. Adapt to
And it also gives you an ability to adapt to a new self-image.
adapt to a new self-image.
Found.
The best way what I found. 네, 오늘 여기까지 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.